This week's From Start to Finish video features a layout created by using a KI Memories Pocket page for the base of the design. The supplies I'm using for this layout are a KI Memories Pocket page. It's a 12 by 12 pocket. Then I have chosen several colors that I drew from this playbill that I'm going to be including in the pocket and a photo. And I'm going to be using this red design, a pink, a brown houndstooth, this orange dot, and a small yellow polka dot, as well as this grid paper from Echo Park. I'm going to be using a Hero Arts stamp. This is a little cityscape. With these memento markers, you can use them to color directly on the stamp and then stamp the design so I can stamp it in a variety of colors. I'm also going to be using a stamp set from the February Studio AE by Technique Tuesday. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a Stamp-A-Majig, and it comes with this little T ruler and a plastic sheet, and I'm using this so that I can get perfect placement with my woodblock stamp. And I'm just quickly going to color in the two end buildings there and stamp those on my plastic sheet. That way it gives me a good idea of where I'm going to start and end the stamped image, so I can line it up perfectly with my background paper. Get that lined up there. Use the T-square to keep that in place. And then I'm going to take my stamp and flip it over, and I'm going to start coloring in these buildings with the memento markers. I'm using the brush tip. So I've colored in the first one. I'm going to use the pink to color in the second building here. Just make sure it gets good coverage. Grab the orange, color in this third building. You can see it's a real quick and easy process to color in with these markers. And then for the last one, I'm going to color it in with a yellow. Once I have the buildings all colored, I'm going to carefully remove my plastic sheet, line my stamp up with the corner of that T-square, and press it down there really good on my paper. And you can see it's a cute little city scene. Again, I'm going to take my plastic sheet from the Stamp-A-Majig, line it up, use the T-square to keep it in place, and color in my buildings again. Once I have those all colored in, I will stamp those right next to the first stamped image. And there is the next little set of buildings. Once I have that done, I'm just going to trim that strip from the rest of the pattern paper, and I'm going to trim it down a little bit. I ended up stamping it 3 times across there, but I'm not going to need near that many buildings. So I'm just going to trim part of that off. And there's what I'm left with. Cute little bright colored city scene. I'm going to place it on my pocket and kind of see if that's going to work. And now I'm going to take the rest of my pattern papers and trim those down to size. Just going to use my ruler to kind of measure everything out and see how much I need for the paper strips I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut the yellow about 4 inches or 4¼ inches, I guess. I'm going to cut a little strip from the orange. Cut a 1-inch strip, 1-inch strip from the brown houndstooth. And cut a, I guess I'll set that aside for a second and then lay it out again. I always like to kind of lay things out, make sure it's all coming together right before I cut too much paper down. I don't want to make an error or too many errors. Errors happen. So it's looking more and more like the page now. I'm going to trim down the pink pattern paper to fit there below the city scene. So kind of line the inside of the pocket with this pink pattern paper. trim it down just a little bit. A lot of it you aren't going to see, so it doesn't really matter how much it is. I just want to make sure that the pocket's lined nicely and that you can't see that brown background. So I'm going to stick that down inside for just a second and lay my city scene back up there. I want to leave a little bit of that brown on brown striped border up at the top. I think that's really cute. So I want to leave just a little touch of that on the page. Next, I'm going to just tuck in some of my memorabilia and make sure that everything is going to fit and that I like how it looks. Again, I haven't glued anything down. I like to make sure that everything is coming together the way I want to first before I use any adhesive. And now I am ready to start gluing down these base pieces of the page. Just going to use my tape runner and adhere that pocket lining paper, my stamped city scene, line it up with the edge of the page. Make sure I got that perfectly aligned. And then I'm going to adhere my borders along the left side of the page. Make sure I have that in line with the edge of the pocket. And then I'm going to take a corner chomper and take the 1/2 inch corner chomper and round that corner so that it matches the other one. I probably could have waited to do that till I added these last 2 paper strips, but I wanted to make sure that I liked how that looked, I guess. So I'm going to adhere the rest of these right along that left edge of the page. And again, I'm going to take my 1/2 inch corner chomper and round that corner. You can see that pocket still opens on the right. And now I need to trim some vellum. I want to add my journaling on a piece of vellum. And it's going to be sideways here on the layout. I'm lifting up my paper and I adhered the vellum before I realized I probably should run it through my printer first. So even though you see the vellum here on the page, I took it back off and ran it through my printer and added the journaling, and then placed it back underneath these borders there. Adhere that back down. I want to stamp a little journaling tab or word tab, I guess, using these new Studio AE stamps. This is the February set, and it comes with this little frame that says story of, and then it has a whole bunch of phrases, or it says the story rather, I'm sorry, and it has a whole bunch of phrases you can use to stamp on the inside. And I'm going to be using documenting the journey because that fits with the travel or vacation theme that I'm using here. And again, I'm going to pull my Memento markers out and I can color each individual word its own color and then stamp it so that I have a multicolored stamped image. This is just a real fun and easy way to accomplish lovely stamped design that would normally be very hard to accomplish with ink pads. So there's what it looks like. And then I'm just going to trim that with my paper trimmer and create a little tab and round the corners with the 1/4 inch corner rounder. Trim that to exactly where the stamping ends. And there's what it looks like. Very cute. I love being able to make my own tabs and things with stamps. So I'm just kind of moving it around and see where I like it. And then I'm going to take my corner chomper and round those corners. I'm going to punch a 1/2 circle from my sheet of red paper, and I just need a 1/2 circle because I want it to hang off the edge. There's my journaling printed on the vellum. Smooth that out a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my machine stitching. I die cut this. It was a top of a box from a cupcake from the Magnolia Bakery, cupcake box, and it was I had torn it off so it was jagged, and so I just die cut it using a Sizzix die, so it looks nice, and then tucked it into my pocket. So you can kind of dress up your memorabilia at times if you want to. Now I did die cut my title, and I'm going to place it right above my computer printed journaling, and I cut it from some brown cardstock and then some pattern paper, a different color for each word. I like to do this because it gives the illusion of a shadow, and it really makes the titles pop a little bit more. You could do this by layering letter stickers as well. I also wanted to address, I use a lot of die cuts just because that's kind of my preferred method for adding titles and words like this to my pages. But you could use stickers or rub-ons or stamps, anything like that that you want to use. I just don't have very many stickers anymore just because I use die cutting so often. So there is what my title is looking like. I'm going to apply or add, I guess, a couple of stamps. Going to see where I want to put that. I placed it there, and then I decided I didn't like that, so I'm going to move it down just a little bit. And these are just some October afternoon stamps, and I think that they help finish off the layout nicely. So I stuck it down there. I ended up sticking it down there and then moving it again. Sorry about that. I move things around a little bit, and this date sticker I'm going to place on the half circle. Add a button, a doodlebug button for embellishment. And then I have another little sticker that I'm going to print the location on. And then I decided I needed to move that sticker, so I've moved it down just a tad. And then here is the two stickers. They're both October afternoon from different collections that I stamped, or I'm sorry, that I printed my date and a little bit of journaling on. And all I do is I run a regular piece of computer printer paper through and print it once. Then I cut the backing paper for this sticker out and then lay it over that to make sure it lines up exactly where I want it, replace the sticker, and run it through. It's very, very easy, and I get perfect placement every time by doing it this way. I'm going to trim off the excess from the circle sticker there, and the layout is almost complete. I am going to add a little paper clip there and a few brads to just dress it up a little bit, and the page is finished. Oh, I did forget, I did add or sew on my button, and I just used a paper piercing tool to poke a couple of holes and thread my string through and tie it into a bow. One quick tip about using string and things like that are really thin on your page is that they could come untied when you either slip it in your sheet protector or something like that. And I just always add a little dab of glue, a lot of times glossy accents, right to the center to hold that knot in place. And then I will also squeeze just a tiny bit of glue back behind the button to glue it down really good so it doesn't move. For more information on this layout, please visit twopeasinabucket.com on February 2nd, 2011. Thanks for watching another video brought to you by twopeasinabucket.com.